The night was quiet when everything changed. Yuna sat alone in the Korea Astronomy Observatory, her eyes fixed on the computer screen. She had spent 12 years studying the stars, searching for signals from distant worlds. Tonight she found one. The signal was different from anything she had ever seen. It was not random noise from space. It was a pattern. It repeated itself every 30 seconds, perfect and precise. Her hands trembled as she checked the data again and again. This was not a mistake. Something intelligent was sending this signal. It was coming closer to Earth. Within 3 hours, observatories around the world confirmed her discovery. Scientists in America, Japan, Germany, and Russia all saw the same thing. Something massive was moving through space toward their planet. The news spread like fire. Governments held emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert. And ordinary people looked up at the sky with fear in their hearts. Do-won was sleeping when the call came. He was a captain in the Korean military, a man who had trained his whole life for war. But he never expected a war like this. His commander's voice was sharp and urgent on the phone. "Get your team ready. This is not a drill." Do-won gathered his unit within the hour. Taewoo, his second in command, was the first to arrive. He was a tall man with a fierce look in his eyes, the kind of soldier who never backed down from a fight. Young Ji-ho came next, barely 23 years old, but eager to prove himself. The others followed quickly, each one ready to serve. They did not know what they were preparing for. None of them did. The alien fleet arrived on the third day. Yuna watched from the observatory as hundreds of massive ships emerged from a fold in space. They were enormous, each one larger than any city on Earth. They hung in the sky like dark mountains, blocking out the stars. The whole world held its breath. Panic spread across every nation. People ran through the streets, screaming and crying. Some prayed to their gods. Others hid in their homes, holding their families close. The military forces of every country aimed their weapons at the sky, but no one fired. Everyone was waiting to see what the aliens would do. But the aliens did nothing. For 3 days, massive ships simply floated above Earth. They made no sound. They sent no message. They only watched. Scientists detected scanning beams sweeping across the planet, studying everything below. The aliens were examining Earth like scientists examining an insect. Yuna worked without sleep, trying to understand what the aliens wanted. She noticed something strange in the scanning patterns. The alien beams were not focused on cities or weapons. They were focused on people. The aliens were studying human beings specifically, as if humans were the most interesting thing on the planet. Why are they so interested in us? She asked herself. She could not find an answer. Sujin arrived at the military base on the 4th day. She was a government official, a woman with a sharp mind and a calm voice. Her job was to coordinate Korea's response with the rest of the world. She met with Do-won in the command center, where screens showed images of the alien fleet from every angle. "The world leaders are meeting tonight," Sujin told him. "They want to send a message to the aliens. They want to talk." Do-won shook his head. "And if the aliens do not want to talk, then we fight," Sujin said simply. "But we try peace first." The message was sent that night. Every language on Earth broadcast into space. "We come in peace. We wish to communicate. We mean you no harm," the aliens finally responded. Every screen on Earth flickered at the same moment. Every television, every phone, every computer displayed the same image. A figure appeared, tall and pale, with sharp features that were almost human, but not quite. Its eyes were deep black, like empty holes in space. When it spoke, its voice was cold and mechanical, translated into every human language at once. "I am Vorn, commander of the Korath Dominion. We have watched your world for many cycles. We have seen your wars, your weapons, your primitive struggles. You are young. You are weak. You are alone." The figure paused, and in that silence, billions of humans felt true terror. "Surrender your world to the Dominion. Give us your resources, your technology, your obedience. In return, we will allow your species to survive as servants of our empire. This is not a request. This is not a negotiation. This is your only option. Vorn's black eyes seemed to look directly at every human watching. Resistance is mathematically impossible. You have 72 hours to accept our terms. After that, we will take what we want by force. The choice is yours. The screens went dark. For a long moment, no one on Earth moved. No one spoke. The weight of those words pressed down on every human heart. They were not alone in the universe. And the universe was not friendly. Duhan stood in the command center, his fists clenched at his sides. Around him, soldiers and officers stared at the blank screens with pale faces. Some looked ready to cry. Others looked ready to fight. Taiwu cursed under his breath. Jiho stood frozen, his young face filled with shock. Sujin was the first to speak. Her voice was steady, though her hands were shaking. We need to respond. The world needs to respond together. Respond how? Taiwu demanded. You heard that thing? They have conquered worlds. They have technology we cannot imagine. How do we fight that? We find a way, Doan said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with something fierce. Humans have always found a way. That is what we do. Far above in the command center of the alien mothership, Vorn turned away from the communication screen. His advisor, Kel, stood waiting in the shadows. The humans will not surrender, Kel said. They never do. Every record of their history shows this. I know, Vorn replied. That is why we must break them quickly. He paused, his black eyes narrowing. Before they discover what they are. Kel tilted his head. You still believe the old stories? The legends about their kind? Vorn did not answer. He simply stared down at the blue planet below, and for the first time in his long life, the great commander of the Korath Dominion felt something he had almost forgotten. Fear on Earth. Yuna returned to her research with new urgency. She had found something buried in old Korath signals, something the aliens had tried to hide. References to Earth dated back centuries. The Dominion had known about humanity for a very long time, but they had never invaded. Until now, why? What had changed? And why did Vorn's voice carry that strange note of urgency, almost desperation? The answers were hidden somewhere in the stars, and Yuna was determined to find them before it was too late. The clock was ticking. 72 hours remained, and humanity's fate hung in the balance. The emergency meeting lasted through the night. Leaders from every nation argued and debated, while the alien ships waited silently above. Some wanted to surrender. Some wanted to fight. But most agreed on one thing. They needed to understand their enemy before making any decision. A delegation was formed. 10 humans would travel to the alien mothership to meet with the invaders face to face. Sujin was chosen to represent Korea. She did not hesitate when they asked her. Someone had to go. She was not afraid to look monsters in the eye. The shuttle that carried them was small compared to the alien vessels. As it rose through the clouds, Sujin watched Earth grow smaller below. She thought about her family, her friends, everyone she might never see again. But she pushed those thoughts away. Fear would not help her now. The alien mothership was even more terrifying up close. Its surface was smooth and dark, like black glass stretching for miles in every direction. Strange lights pulsed beneath the surface, and the shuttle was pulled inside by an invisible force. When the doors opened, Sujin stepped into another world. The interior of the ship was vast and cold. The air smelled strange, like metal and something else she could not name. Alien guards lined the walls, tall and silent, their weapons pointed at the human visitors. But Sujin walked forward without flinching. Vorn waited for them in a great chamber at the heart of the ship. He sat on a throne made of black stone, surrounded by his officers. Kel stood at his right side, watching the humans with curious eyes. Another alien, smaller and thinner than the others, stood to the left. Sujin would later learn her name was Terra, the chief scientist of the fleet. Welcome to the Dominion, Vorn said. His voice echoed through the chamber. You are the first humans to stand in this place. You should feel honored. We're here to talk, Sujin replied. To find a peaceful solution, Vorn laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. There is no peaceful solution. There is only submission or destruction. We have conquered 10,000 species across this galaxy. We have ruled for millions of years. Your little planet is nothing to us. A small rock with small creatures? Then why come here at all? Sujin asked. If we are so small, why bother with us? For a brief moment, something flickered in Vorn's black eyes. He did not answer immediately, and Sujin noticed Kel glance at his commander with a strange expression. Your world has resources we need, Vorn finally said. That is all you need to know. But Sujin did not believe him. There was something more, something they were not saying. The negotiations continued for hours. The aliens showed no interest in compromise. They wanted everything. Earth's water, minerals, technology. They wanted humans to serve as workers in their empire, doing the jobs that other conquered species could not do. In return, they offered only survival. You will live, Vorn said. Is that not enough? Living as slaves is not living, Sujin answered. Tira stepped forward then, speaking for the first time. Her voice was softer than the others, almost gentle. We wish to study your kind, she said. With your permission, we would like to examine some of you. Simple tests. Nothing harmful. The other delegates refused, but Sujin agreed. If the aliens wanted to study humans, she wanted to know why. What were they looking for? The examination room was cold and white. Tira worked alone, running strange devices over Sujin's body, taking samples of her blood and hair. The alien scientist said nothing during the tests, but Sujin watched her face carefully. When the results appeared on Tara's screen, something changed. The scientist's calm expression cracked. Her hands trembled slightly. Is something wrong? Sujin asked. Tira looked at her for a long moment. Then she quickly turned off the screen and stepped back. No, she said. Everything is normal. But her voice said otherwise. And when Sujin left the examination room, she caught Tira staring after her with something that looked almost like fear. Back on Earth, Yuna made her own discoveries. Working with scientists around the world, she decoded fragments of Korath communications. The aliens talked about Earth often, but they used a strange word she did not understand. They called humans the inheritance. What does that mean? Her colleague asked. I do not know yet, Yuna admitted, but I will find out. She dug deeper into the alien signals, searching for any clue. What she found made her blood run cold. The Korath had known about Earth for over 10,000 years. They had watched humanity grow from simple villages to great cities. They had seen humans split the atom and reach the moon, and during all that time, they had never invaded. They had avoided Earth completely, as if the planet was dangerous. But something had changed. Something had made the Korath decide to attack now, despite centuries of caution. What was it? What were they afraid of? At the military base, Doan prepared his soldiers for the worst. He did not believe the negotiations would succeed. The aliens wanted conquest, not peace. War was coming, and his people needed to be ready. Taiwu shared his anger. We should strike first, he argued. Hit them before they hit us. With what? Doan asked. Their technology is beyond anything we have. Our weapons might not even scratch their ships, so we just wait to die. No, we wait for the right moment. We find their weakness. Every enemy has one. Jiho listened to his commander's talk. He was young and afraid, but he tried not to show it. The soldiers around him felt the same fear, but they also felt something else. A determination that burned in their hearts. They would not give up. They would not surrender. Whatever happened, they would face it together, on the mothership. Kel found Sujin before she returned to Earth. He pulled her aside, away from the guards, and spoke quickly in a low voice. You should know something, he said. Vorn is afraid of your kind. The whole Dominion is afraid. Afraid of us. Sujin could not believe it. Why? Kel looked around nervously. There are old stories. Legends from before the Dominion existed. Stories about a species that could not be conquered. A species that would one day challenge our rule. He leaned closer. Your people do not know what sleeps inside you. But Vorn knows, and it terrifies him. Before Sujin could ask more questions, guards appeared and Kel walked away. She returned to the shuttle with the other delegates, her mind spinning with questions. What sleeps inside us? What did that mean? The 72 hours ended without an agreement. Vorn's final message was broadcast to all of Earth. You have chosen destruction? So be it. The alien ships began to move. Weapons powered up across the fleet. And on the blue planet below, billions of humans watched the sky and prepared to fight. For their lives, war had come to Earth, and nothing would ever be the same again. The first attack came without warning. Beams of white light fell from the alien ships like rain, striking the great cities of Earth. Buildings exploded into dust. Streets melted under the terrible heat. Millions of people died in the first hour alone. Seoul was one of the first targets. Dohan watched from the military command center as parts of the city he loved disappeared in fire. The screens showed chaos everywhere. People running, screaming, falling. Emergency sirens filled the air with their endless cry. Dohan ordered, "Protect the evacuation routes. Get the people to safety." Soldiers obeyed without question. Tiwoo led one team to the eastern districts. Jiho joined a squad defending the bridges. Dohan himself took command of the central defense, placing his men between the alien landing ships and the fleeing civilians, the Koreth. Ground forces were unlike anything humans had ever fought. Their soldiers wore armor that shrugged off bullets. Their weapons fired energy that could cut through tanks like paper. Their war machines were massive walkers that crushed everything in their path. In the first day of battle, human forces suffered terrible losses. Entire divisions were wiped out. Bases were overrun. The Korath seemed unstoppable, but they did not win easily in Europe. A group of soldiers held a bridge for 7 hours against a Korath assault. They had no heavy weapons, no air support, nothing but rifles and grenades. By the end, only 3 of them were still alive. But they had given thousands of civilians time to escape. In America, a pilot flew her damaged jet directly into an alien command ship, destroying it completely. Her name was broadcast around the world. A hero in Korea, Jiho's squad found themselves surrounded by enemy forces. They had run out of ammunition. Their vehicles were destroyed. Any normal army would have surrendered. But Jiho's squad did not surrender. "We are not dying here," Jiho said to his men. His voice was shaking, but his eyes were steady. "Not today." They fought with knives, with rocks, with their bare hands. They used fallen alien weapons they barely understood. And somehow, against all logic, they survived. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found Jiho standing over the bodies of 12 Korath soldiers, covered in blood that was not his own. Reports like these came from every battlefield. Humans were dying by the millions, but they were not breaking. They adapted. They learned. They found ways to hurt the enemy that the Korath had never seen before. Vorn watched the battle reports with growing unease. His officers could not understand his concern. The invasion was succeeding. Human cities were falling. Victory was certain, but Vorn knew better. "They should have collapsed by now," he said quietly. "Every other species breaks after the first wave. They surrender. They beg for mercy. But these humans keep fighting. They're stubborn," Kel observed. "But stubbornness alone cannot defeat us." "No," Vorn agreed. "But stubbornness combined with something else might." He did not say what that something else was. He did not need to. They both knew the old legends. They both knew what humanity might become. On Earth. Dr. Hannah worked in an underground hospital treating the endless stream of wounded soldiers. She had been a doctor for 15 years, and she thought she had seen everything. But the things she saw now made no sense. A soldier came in with burns covering half his body. He should have been dead. Instead, he was awake and talking, asking when he could return to fight. His wounds were healing faster than she had ever seen wounds heal. Another soldier had been shot through the chest. The bullet had missed his heart by centimeters. Within 2 days, he was walking again. Within a week, he was fully recovered. "This is impossible," Hannah told her colleague. "Human bodies do not heal this fast." But the evidence was right in front of her. Something was changing. Something was waking up inside the human body, responding to the stress of battle in ways that science could not explain. Una made her breakthrough on the 5th day of the war. Working in a bunker deep underground, she finally decoded the full meaning of the inheritance. What she found changed everything. The Korath records spoke of an ancient race called the Architects. These beings had existed millions of years ago, long before the Korath Dominion was born. They had seeded life across the galaxy, creating thousands of species on thousands of worlds. Most species were designed to be peaceful and easy to control. But the Architects had one final project. One last creation that was different from all the others. Humans, according to the records, humans were designed to be adaptive, to grow stronger under pressure, to evolve faster than any other species in the galaxy. The Architects had hidden this potential deep in human DNA, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The Korath had destroyed the Architects long ago. They had spent millions of years hunting down any species that carried the Architect's spark. Earth had been quarantined, watched carefully, but never attacked. Until now. The Korath had finally decided that humans were too dangerous to leave alone. They had grown too fast, advanced too quickly. If they were allowed to continue, they might awaken their true potential, and then nothing in the galaxy could stop them. Una's hands shook as she read the final lines of the decoded message. "They are not invading us because we are weak," she whispered. "They are invading us because they are afraid of what we might become," she had to tell someone. She had to warn the leaders, the military, everyone. Humanity was not helpless. Humanity was special, and the key to victory was hidden inside their own bodies at the same moment. In a ruined building in Seoul, Doan faced a Korath warrior alone. His rifle was empty. His squad was scattered. The alien raised its weapon to kill him, and then something happened. Time seemed to slow down. Doan's senses sharpened until he could see every detail, hear every sound. His body moved faster than thought, dodging the energy blast and closing the distance in a heartbeat. His hands found the alien's throat and squeezed with strength he did not know he had. The Korath warrior fell. Doan stood over its body, breathing hard, staring at his own hands. What just happened? How did he do that? He did not know. But deep inside, something ancient was stirring. Something that had slept for thousands of years was finally beginning to wake. The war was far from over, but humanity was about to discover its true power. 3 weeks into the war, humanity was on the edge of extinction. The great cities lay in ruins. Governments had fallen. Billions had died. Those who survived lived in underground shelters, hiding from the Korath patrols that hunted them without mercy, but humanity had not surrendered. And something extraordinary was happening. Reports came from every corner of the world. Soldiers performing impossible feats. A woman in Brazil lifting a collapsed wall to save trapped children. A man in India running faster than any human should be able to run. Fighters surviving wounds that should have killed them instantly at first. People thought these were just rumors. Stories made up to give hope in dark times. But the evidence kept growing. Something was changing inside the human body. Something ancient and powerful was waking up. Doan led the survivors to an underground base beneath the mountains. Una was already there, along with Suja and Hannah, and a few hundred soldiers who had escaped the destruction of Seoul. They were tired, wounded, and afraid, but they were alive. "I know what is happening to us," Una told them. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with excitement. "I decoded the Korath records. I know why they invaded, and I know what we are becoming." She told them everything. The Architects, the inheritance, the dormant potential hidden in human DNA, the truth that the Korath had feared for millions of years. "We were designed for this," Una said. "Designed to evolve under pressure. Designed to become stronger when faced with extinction. The Architects built us to be the one species that could never be conquered." Silence filled the room. The soldiers looked at each other with wonder and confusion. Could it be true? Could they really be something more than ordinary humans? Hannah stepped forward. She had spent weeks studying the changes happening in wounded soldiers. Now she understood what those changes meant. The human body is adapting in real time, she explained. Our muscles are growing denser. Our reflexes are getting faster. Our wounds are healing at incredible speeds. Some people are even developing abilities we have never seen before. Limited telepathy. Enhanced senses. The potential was always inside us. The stress of war is unlocking it. Not everyone is changing at the same rate, Taiwu pointed out. Some soldiers are still normal. The awakening happens faster under extreme stress, Hannah replied. Those who have faced death directly are changing the fastest. But eventually it will spread to everyone. Our DNA is designed to share these adaptations. Doan listened in silence. He thought about the moment in Seoul when he had killed the Koroth warrior with his bare hands. He had felt something awaken inside him that day. A power that was both strange and familiar, like remembering a dream from childhood. Can we control it? He asked. Can we make the awakening happen faster? Yuna nodded slowly. I believe so. The key is understanding that the change is natural. It is part of who we are. We do not need to fear it. We need to embrace it. Word spread quickly through the resistance networks. In bunkers and caves across the world, humans learned the truth about their origins. Some refused to believe it. Others were afraid of what they might become. But most felt something else entirely. Hope. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had a chance. They were not just fighting against superior technology. They were fighting to unlock their true potential. Every battle, every loss, every moment of fear brought them closer to awakening. Sujin broadcast a message to every surviving human on Earth. Her face appeared on hidden screens. Her voice reached through secret radio channels. You're not weak, she said. We were never weak. The Koroth feared us so much that they tried to destroy us before we could discover what we truly are. But they were too late. The awakening has begun. We are becoming what we were always meant to be. So do not give up. Do not surrender. Fight with everything you have, and let the fire of battle unlock the power inside you. The effect was immediate. Across the world, resistance fighters attacked with renewed fury. They threw themselves into battle without fear, trusting that the stress would make them stronger. And it did. In China, a group of farmers armed with nothing but tools destroyed an entire Koroth patrol. Their bodies moved with inhuman speed. Their strength was beyond explanation. In Africa, a young girl with awakened telepathy led hundreds of people to safety by reading the minds of enemy soldiers. In Australia, wounded fighters recovered in hours, instead of weeks, and returned to battle before the Koroth could regroup. The tide was beginning to turn. On the Koroth mothership, Vorn received the reports with growing terror. His worst fears were coming true. The humans were awakening faster than anyone had predicted. Every battle made them stronger. Every death taught them how to survive. We must destroy them completely, Vorn ordered. Activate the orbital cannons. Burn the entire planet if necessary, Commander Kell said carefully. That would destroy the resources we came to claim. Vorn shouted. His calm mask had cracked. The great commander was afraid, and everyone could see it. You do not understand what these creatures will become. If even a handful survive, they will rebuild. They will grow stronger, and they will come for us. Kell said nothing. He had already made his choice. When the attack on Earth began, he planned to warn the humans. The Koroth Dominion had ruled through fear and death for too long. Perhaps it was time for something new. Tira made her choice as well. She found a way to send a secret message to the human resistance, telling them everything she knew about the mothership's defenses. The weapon cores on the lower decks, her message said. Destroy it, and the orbital cannons will be useless. I will help you find your way inside. Dohon read the message with narrowed eyes. It could be a trap. But it could also be their only chance. If the Koroth fired their orbital cannons, Earth would be burned to ash. They had to act now. He gathered his best soldiers, Taiwu, Jiho, a dozen others who had fully awakened their potential. They would fly to the mothership and destroy it from within. This might be a one-way trip, Doan warned them. Then we make it count, Taiyu replied with a grim smile. Jiho checked his weapons and nodded. He was no longer the frightened young soldier who had first faced the aliens. War had changed him. Awakening had changed him. He was ready to fight for his world. The shuttle launched into the night sky, carrying Earth's last hope toward the enemy fleet. Behind them, the Resistance prepared for the final battle. Whatever happened next would decide the fate of humanity forever. The shuttle cut through the darkness of space, carrying Doan and his team toward the massive alien mothership. Behind them, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the black void. Everything they loved was down there. Everyone they wanted to protect. Failure was not an option. Weapons ready, Doan ordered. Stay close and move fast. We have one chance at this. The team checked their equipment in silence. They carried human weapons modified with stolen Korath technology. Yuna and her scientists had worked day and night to give them tools that could hurt the enemy. But their greatest weapons were their own bodies, now awakened to their full potential. Tira's signal guided them to a hidden entrance on the mothership's lower hull. The doors opened silently, and they slipped inside like shadows. Kel was waiting for them in the corridor beyond. You came, he said. I was not certain you would trust my message. We did not have a choice, Doan replied. Take us to the weapon core. Kel nodded and led the way through the massive ship. They moved through dark corridors and empty chambers, avoiding patrols when they could, killing guards when they could not. The awakened soldiers fought like nothing the Korath had ever seen. They moved too fast to track, hit too hard to stop. An alarm began to sound. Vorn knew they were inside. We must hurry, Kel said. The weapon core is this way. They ran through the ship as enemy forces closed in from every direction. Korath warriors poured into the corridors, weapons blazing. The humans fought back, with terrible efficiency. Jiho cut down 3 enemies before they could fire a single shot. Another soldier threw a Korath soldier through a wall with her bare hands. But the enemy numbers were overwhelming. One by one, the team began to fall. A soldier named Minho was hit by an energy blast and went down. Another named Yunji sacrificed herself to hold back a wave of attackers. By the time they reached the weapon core chamber, only 4 remained. Doan, Taiwu, Jiho, and Kel. The weapon core was a massive sphere of pulsing energy at the center of a vast room. Dozens of Korath guards surrounded it, waiting for them. And beyond the guards, standing on a raised platform, was Vorn himself. You should not have come here, little humans, Vorn said. His voice echoed through the chamber. You have only made your deaths more painful. We did not come here to die, Doan replied. We came here to end this, Vorn laughed. End this. You are 4 creatures against the might of the Dominion. You cannot possibly win. Watch us. The battle erupted like a storm. Doan and his team threw themselves at the enemy with everything they had. They moved like lightning, their awakened bodies performing feats that no human had ever achieved before. Jiho fought 3 Korath warriors at once and defeated them all. Taiwu smashed through enemy lines like a battering ram, but the weapon core remained protected. A shield of energy surrounded it, impervious to their attacks. Someone would have to get inside and destroy it from within. Taiwu looked at Doan, and understanding passed between them without words. Keep them busy, Taiwu said. I will handle the core. Taiwu, wait, but he was already moving. Taiwu charged toward the weapon core, bullets and energy blasts bouncing off the shield around him. He should have died a dozen times over, but his awakened body refused to fall. With a roar of effort, he threw himself directly into the energy shield. For one terrible moment, electricity consumed him. His body burned. His muscles screamed, but he did not stop. He pushed through the shield by sheer force of will and crashed into the weapon core itself. For Earth, Taiwu whispered, and he detonated the explosives strapped to his chest. The explosion was blinding. The weapon core shattered into 1,000,000 pieces, its energy dissipating into nothing. Throughout the ship, systems failed. Lights flickered and died. The orbital cannons that would have destroyed Earth went dark. Taiwu was gone. Doan felt the loss like a knife in his heart. But he did not have time to mourn. Vorn was still alive, and the battle was not over. The Korath commander descended from his platform, his black eyes burning with rage. He was larger than the other aliens, stronger, faster. The greatest warrior of a race that had conquered 10,000 worlds. You think this changes anything? Vorn snarled. I will kill you myself. And then I will burn your planet with my own hands. He attacked without warning, moving with terrifying speed. Doan barely dodged the first strike. The second caught him across the chest, sending him flying into a wall. Pain exploded through his body, but pain was nothing. Pain was a teacher. Doan rose again, his awakening deepening with every heartbeat. They fought across the chamber, trading blows that would have killed ordinary beings. Vorn was powerful, ancient, experienced. But Doan had something the Korath did not understand. He had humanity's fire inside him. The fight lasted only minutes, but it felt like hours. Doan took a dozen wounds that should have killed him. He kept fighting. Vorn struck him down again and again. He kept rising. The Korath commander grew desperate, his attacks becoming wild and sloppy. What are you? Vorn demanded. Why will you not die? Doan smiled through bloody teeth. We are what you always feared. We are the inheritance, and we do not break. With one final surge of strength, Doan grabbed Vorn's head and twisted. The commander of the Korath Dominion fell to the ground, his black eyes staring at nothing. It was over on Earth. The human resistance watched as the alien fleet began to break apart. Without Vorn's leadership, without the mothership's weapons, the Korath forces panicked. Ships fled into space. Ground troops surrendered or retreated. For the first time in weeks, the skies above Earth were clear. Humanity had won. The days that followed were filled with tears and celebration. The survivors emerged from their hiding places to rebuild their world. Cities were in ruins, billions had died, but humanity had survived. More than survived. They had transformed. Months later, Dahan stood in the heart of Seoul. The city was being rebuilt, stronger than before. Around him, workers and soldiers moved with purpose and hope. Sujin walked up to stand beside him. They will come back, she said quietly. The Dominion will not let this stand. Dahan looked up at the sky, at the stars that had once seemed so distant and cold. Now they felt like a promise. Let them come, he said. The galaxy spent millions of years afraid of what we might become. Now they will see what we are. Sujin smiled. And what are we? Doan thought about Tai Wu. About Jiho, who now trained the next generation. About Hannah, who studied the awakening to help others unlock their potential. About Yuna, who was already planning humanity's first journey beyond Earth. About Kel and Tira, who had chosen to stand with humanity against their own kind. We are survivors, Doan said. We are fighters. We are the children of the architects. And we are just getting started. Far above, the stars waited. The universe was vast and dangerous, filled with empires that would fear and hate what humanity had become. But none of that mattered. Humanity had faced extinction and refused to die. They had discovered the fire that burned within them. And nothing in the galaxy would ever put it out. This was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning.